On 22nd August 1485, near Bosworth in Leicestershire, England, two armies met in a battle that ended one dynasty and opened another. It still matters because the outcome reshaped the English crown and the future of the kingdom. The struggle grew from years of instability after the Wars of the Roses, when noble loyalties shifted and the throne seemed fragile. By 1485, power depended as much on alliance and reputation as on bloodline. Richard III ruled with urgency and suspicion, trying to secure a crown that many still questioned. Opposing him was Henry Tudor, a claimant with a narrow base, carrying hope, risk, and the burden of expectation. Both sides relied on men-at-arms, archers, billmen, horses, and the discipline of local levies. Their morale was shaped by pay, loyalty, fear, and the belief that the day might decide more than a single battle. Henry Tudor landed in Wales and moved east with a cautious, improvised campaign. His march gathered support along the way, but every mile also exposed him to interception by a stronger royal force. Richard's army advanced to meet him, using the road network and the speed of a king defending his realm. The two forces converged on ground chosen by movement as much as by design. The battlefield lay among ridges, marshy ground, and open slopes that could reward a steady line and punish confusion. Weather and visibility mattered because a small shift in position could change the whole engagement. Richard appears to have favored a direct attack with his stronger position and experienced troops. Henry's commanders, by contrast, needed caution, hoping terrain and timing would offset their weaker claim and thinner numbers. As the armies formed, archers and skirmishers tested the space between them. The opening moments were measured, with both sides feeling for weakness before committing their main bodies. Then the pressure built around the center, where command was hardest and morale most fragile. A battlefield could hold for hours and still turn quickly when one wing began to waver. Richard's mounted reserve became the battle's decisive tool, moving toward the key struggle as if to break it at the source. The moment was risky because a king who commits himself also commits his fate. Accounts suggest that Henry's position held long enough for Richard's advance to lose its advantage. In the confusion, the balance shifted from controlled assault to a desperate contest of momentum. The collapse came swiftly once Richard was isolated from the support he needed. Medieval battles often ended not with a neat finish, but with one side suddenly no longer able to command the field. Richard III died in the fighting, and Henry's victory was immediate and politically transformative. The battle ended not only a king's life, but also the last major challenge to Tudor accession. After Bosworth, Henry moved quickly to secure legitimacy through coronation, marriage, and careful control of rivals. The new regime understood that winning the battle was only the first step. In the years that followed, Tudor rule brought greater central authority and a more stable succession. Bosworth became a turning point, remembered as the end of the medieval political order and the start of a new one. Yet historians still qualify many details because the sources were written by winners, later chroniclers, or observers with their own agendas. Even the exact troop numbers remain uncertain and are best treated as estimates. The precise location of the fighting has also been debated, though the general Bosworth area is well established. Archaeology and landscape study have helped narrow the picture without making it absolute. Some accounts emphasize betrayal, others emphasize battlefield geometry, and many stress Richard's personal decision to charge. The truth likely lies in the interaction of leadership, terrain, timing, and chance. Bosworth also survives in memory because it offers a rare moment when politics, war, and monarchy converged in a single morning. It is a story of ambition, uncertainty, and the fragile nature of power. Before the battle, both camps depended on supply lines, local food, and the willingness of supporters to keep them moving. An army that could not eat, rest, and regroup could lose before the fighting even began. The men who marched to Bosworth were not abstract pieces on a chessboard. They were retainers, tenants, and professionals whose choices reflected fear, duty, and the hope of survival under a new regime. Richard's authority had been tested by rebellion and rumor, and he needed a victory that would silence doubt. That pressure may have encouraged a bold, high-stakes approach on the battlefield. Henry, by contrast, could not afford reckless movement. His survival depended on keeping his coalition intact long enough for the battle to become a contest he could endure. As the armies closed, the field's slight rises and wet patches shaped where men could stand and where horses could move. In medieval warfare, the land itself often acted like an unseen commander. The first exchanges were likely dominated by missiles and probing attacks, rather than a full immediate clash. Such openings could last only minutes, but they set the emotional rhythm of the day. Once the main lines engaged, command became difficult to maintain. Dust, noise, and uneven ground could make even a well-planned battle feel improvised and uncertain. The role of Allied forces mattered greatly, especially those whose loyalty could alter the balance at a critical moment. In Bosworth, the battle's outcome hinged on whether support would hold or drift away. Richard's final charge has become one of the battle's defining images. Though the exact sequence is still debated, what is clear is that he chose direct action when the field was slipping from control. That choice may have been an act of leadership, desperation, or both. In a battle of narrow margins, a king's personal movement could become the hinge on which the day turned. When the royal effort failed to restore the line, the battle ceased to be a contest of equal armies. It became a collapse of confidence, command, and the ability to keep fighting as a unified force. Henry's victory was followed by the practical work of rule, securing the capital, rewarding allies, and limiting threats. The battlefield was only the beginning of a long political consolidation. The dead king's body and the battlefield's silence marked the end of an era. For contemporaries, the event would have felt immediate and human, not symbolic or inevitable. Bosworth's legacy grew because later Tudor power encouraged memory of the battle as a founding moment. Over time, history and political storytelling blended into a powerful national narrative. Modern historians continue to separate evidence from legend, especially when later stories add certainty that the sources do not support. Careful scholarship keeps the battle vivid without pretending it is fully known. Today, the Bosworth landscape invites reflection rather than triumph. The fields are quieter now, but they still carry the memory of a morning when England changed course.